One reason filmmakers like to work in a genre is that it gives us a pre-made box, a set of expectations, tropes, and boundaries. On the one hand, we want to play within that box. And on the other, we want to push against its edges. Choi Hawk's The Blade is an exploration and a deconstruction of the box that is Wuxia. It's a movie about how those traditions work, and how those same traditions can be broken. But before we get to that, we have to do a quick primer. What is Wuxia? Very simply, it's a Chinese genre of martial arts fiction originating from novels. The heroes are called xia, which are similar to knight-errants or gunslingers without a home. These heroes usually have a specific weapon and adhere to a shared code of chivalry. They also inhabit a fictional world called the Jianghu. It's a world of martial arts schools, markets, remote inns, distant canyons, and bamboo forests. Like the Monument Valley of John Ford Westerns, the Jianghu is a mythical place where adventures can happen. On the surface, The Blade adheres to all these basics. It's an action movie about people with superhuman skills and unique weapons. And it takes place in a world of markets, inns, and bamboo fortresses. But right from the first scene, the movie looks and feels different. One of Choi's stated goals was to shoot a Verite documentary inside a Wuxia film. The camera is often far away from the action, on a long lens, peeking through foreground objects. Or it's handheld and catching glimpses up close. It's as if we're flies buzzing around, glancing at whatever interesting thing happens to catch our eye. In more traditional wuxia, like Once Upon a Time in China, the camera would not do this. It would function like a proscenium. Wide establishing shots would cut to mediums, then eventually close-ups. If the camera moves, it's motivated by something, like a line of dialogue. There's a sense of formal rigor, not just in the visual grammar, but in the behavior of the characters, which is broken only slightly when... But even when a fight breaks out, a classical wuxia film emphasizes clarity. When Wang Feihong is fighting, his silhouette is always visible to the camera. No matter where he goes, the audience can always read what move he's doing. By contrast, The Blade is formally rigorous in the opposite direction. Choi emphasizes a lack of clarity, often by putting the camera where it cannot see what is happening. Violent things happen just outside the frame, or within frame but obscured, or so close to the lens that we can't even see it. There's a shot in the film that seems to acknowledge this. When our hero, Ding An, is fighting bandits, their leader seems confused. Superficially, many of these things appear to be mistakes. And in classic wuxia, the idea is to hide them, lest we spoil the fantasy. The audience should focus on the beautiful sets, the nice costumes, and the overall sense of elegance. But The Blade leans into this sense of chaos. Take any 5 minutes and you'll see camera operator reframes, shots that are out of focus, zooms that go in and out, not to mention camera movement that is late, or that suddenly looks at something else. Choi exacerbates this feeling with unusual editorial choices, like double cutting out of a scene, or holding when you'd expect him to cut away. And he fills the frame with wind, rain, fire, dust, and mud. But together, these choices open up new possibilities. Let's say you want to demonstrate a character's superhuman ability, say jumping onto rooftops. This is called a Texas switch, when one actor runs out of view and is replaced by a stuntman in the same clothes. Here's Choi's version. Once again, actor, stuntman, actor again. By making these formal choices, Choi replaces the classical virtues of wuxia staging: an orderly progression, a clarity, a lack of mistakes, with something frenetic and expressionistic. It feels like at any moment, something dangerous or unexpected could happen. But Choi is not just challenging the way wuxia looks. He's also defying certain norms of its storytelling. At the core of wuxia is the code of chivalry.
我明白，您是让我走。
哦，不敢。您要是赏我这个面子，我将来一定重谢您。
Our heroes always behave properly. Even the villains have manners. So when a Shaolin monk shows up in a marketplace, the audience would expect to see some ruckus, an intervention, and a prevailing hero. What they would not expect is this. This is a violation of the code of chivalry found in wuxia, and it sets the tone for the rest of the movie. The world of the Blade is organized not by higher ideals, but through pure violence. A world this dark would seem to require heroes, and in classic wuxia, we would expect noble ones. Sure, our heroes would struggle, but they would also have masters who taught them how to fight, and friends to help them along the way. But Ding-an spends most of the Blade avoiding conflict. In fact, it's often outside circumstances that force him to fight. This hero is deeply flawed and prone to mistakes. He has a master whom he runs away from. He has friends whom he avoids. He has only one companion, but all she can provide him is an incomplete manual. Even though the movie is seemingly about revenge, it overwhelmingly depicts a man who fights for survival. Which brings us to one of Choi's biggest breaks from tradition, the narrator.
江湖，我都唔知江湖係咩。
The story of the Blade is told by a character who experiences the events indirectly. Ling, the daughter of the Forge Master, begins the story
我成日都有一個好壞嘅諗法，就係我好想我心入面嗰兩個男人打場交。
daydreaming about Ding-an and Ironhead fighting over her. But when she's confronted with actual violence, her fantasies are shattered. You can read Ling's character as an audience surrogate. Having grown up with vague stories of heroism and courage, she idealizes the Jianghu. But once she sees it for herself,
我憎晒所有嘅人，我憎鐵頭，連定安都憎。
the Blade is not only about Ding-an's struggle, but also about Ling's gradual disillusionment. Despite witnessing all of these horrors, Ling still expects things to go back to the way they were.
定安走咗，鐵頭都走埋。
The story ends with her longing to return to a romanticized vision of the past.
年年都係咁，佢哋一直都冇變過。
But in reality, the life she lives is this. The Blade presents as a wuxia film, and yet it challenges and defies its audience. You get many of the tropes you asked for, but they do not deliver the clean catharsis you might have wanted. The film poses a fascinating question about how to expand the edges of a genre. What if we took everything we thought we knew about how to make something? Our assumptions, our previous work, our ideal of what we're supposed to do, And what if we cruelly took that away? We'd be off balance. We wouldn't know what we're supposed to do anymore. We could give up. Or, if we struggle and instead try to work within our new restrictions, can we push through the difficulty? And accomplish something new?